Ciao Fabri, welcome back
Ciao
in
guys.
our podcast. It's a key week in terms of strikers, and we start with probably what was one of the biggest news of the weekend, and talking about Viktor Gyökeres.
Yeah, we have to enter into this story because Viktor Gyökeres and Arsenal is probably the story of the moment. While we are recording this podcast here on Men in Blazers, I can tell you that the last message I got on my phone was about a striker who is going to Premier League, Badistierno Barri from Villarreal to Everton for 35 million euros. So medical today, and congrats to Everton for this exciting addition for a striker who did very well in La Liga last season. But Viktor Gyökeres is the story of the week, and Arsenal are working on this deal. Every minute could be important in this story for Viktor Gyökeres to become the new Arsenal striker, the wanted number 9. We know it's been a long race for the new number 9 at Arsenal. We told you every single step of this story in the recent months, in the recent year, I would say, because Arsenal were looking for the striker already a long time ago. In January, also planning for some potential move for a new striker, and it didn't happen. Now for Viktor Gyökeres, Arsenal are at very advanced stages of the story, but there is still to negotiate. There is still time to negotiate with Sporting. Why? Because the first proposal from Arsenal, 65 million euros plus bonuses, was still not enough to convince Sporting to accept, especially the president. He wants 70 million euros guaranteed plus add-ons to reach 80 million euros package for Gyökeres. But the negotiation is ongoing. The player has agreed personal terms with Arsenal. It's a 5-year contract. He told directly to Sporting that he only wants to go to Arsenal, and so now depends on the clubs. Gyökeres is doing his very best, but for sure the negotiation is at advanced stages for the Swedish striker to join Mikel Arteta.
So you're mentioning that Gyökeres is doing his best to join Arsenal. What do you mean by that? What's his job? What's he doing to join Arsenal this summer?
Yeah, look, Gyökeres is really putting a lot of effort into this. He wants to go to Arsenal. He's desperate, and so I can tell you, first of all, that he told Sporting that he will not show up for training anymore. He will not show up to play football for Sporting anymore. So it's completely over. He spoke directly to the president. He sent direct messages to the president to tell him, "I want to go to Arsenal. Let me go to Arsenal. We won everything together. It's time for me to go. We had a pact 1 year ago." So Gyökeres sent very clear messages to the president himself to ask to go to Arsenal. And then there is money, because money is always an important part of negotiations into football. And Viktor Gyökeres, from what I'm told, gave up 2 million euros from his salary package to put that money on the negotiation. So that money had to go to Gyökeres and will go to Sporting if the two clubs can close the deal, because Gyökeres is prepared to do everything to go to Arsenal. Now, obviously, he's on the clubs, but I can guarantee to you that Gyökeres is putting crazy effort into this story, and this is probably what changed it completely, the race for the new Arsenal striker, with Gyökeres now clear favorite to become the new number 9.
Talking about Sporting, did they already decided who is going to be the replacement of Gyökeres?
Yeah, my information was an exclusive story from a few days ago, and I maintain that name is Luis Suarez. It's not Luis Suarez, the Uruguayan pistolero who is at Inter Miami now, but is Luis Javier Suarez from Almeria. Very interesting striker, Colombian, who already had the opportunity in the past to go to Olympique Marseille. Now Sporting believe he could be the perfect striker also in terms of skills to become a new Sporting player. So they have an agreement with the player. Personal terms are not a problem. They are waiting to close the deal with Almeria because obviously the priority is to find a solution for Gyökeres. And so let's follow this situation step by step, but the name is Luis Javier Suarez from Almeria for Sporting.
What happened with Benjamin Sesko? Because that's been a name also that we mentioned in a lot of our podcasts since we started here with Men in Blazers. So what happened? What's the latest on him?
Yeah, that was the other big main option for Arsenal. They had obviously conversations at some point, also advancing quite well for Benjamin Sesko. It was end of May, beginning of June. Then Arsenal always maintained this duo, Gyökeres and Sesko, for the striker position. Now they are going very strong for Gyökeres. For Sesko, the situation in the recent days has gone quiet with Arsenal, but there is still a lot of interest from several clubs around Europe, and not only. Don't forget that Sesko also turned down a crazy bid from Saudi Arabia around the beginning of June. So he has many possibilities in Europe and not only. Let's see what he will decide to do, what Leipzig will decide to do in terms of transfer fee, because that was also an issue with Arsenal, the payment of the transfer fee. Also Leipzig are very strong on their position, so there were some issues in this story, but for sure Benjamin Sesko remains one of the most attractive options available on the market.
Another top name in terms of striker is definitely Viktor Osimhen. We know he was one of the biggest sagas in 2024. It's also a big topic this summer. What's the latest? What's happening with Napoli and other clubs like Galatasaray involved in the race?
Yeah, we always read comments on all platforms for our podcast here on Men in Blazers, and many people keep asking us about Manchester United because there has always been this story, this rumor about Viktor Osimhen and Manchester United in the recent months. But what I can tell you is that for Man United there is nothing concrete, and there was never anything concrete because of one reason. Viktor Osimhen never wanted to reduce his salary request, and that was the point for Manchester United basically. So that's why this deal never really advanced. Now Galatasaray are clear favorites to sign Viktor Osimhen. Why? Because they have an agreement with the player. The player was very happy at Galatasaray. He joined them in September in a crazy unexpected deal last year, but then it turned out to be one of the best options possible for Viktor Osimhen, because the player is super happy with the club, with the city, with the fans. He feels very good in Istanbul. So Osimhen is keen on staying at Galatasaray. The contract agreed between Galatasaray and Osimhen is until 2028 plus option for a further season. Now depends on the clubs. Galatasaray had 2 bids rejected by Napoli, 50 million euros plus 5, 60 million euros guaranteed. Napoli want 75 million euros, the value of the release clause. Why? Because Al Hilal from Saudi are still prepared to pay the release clause of Viktor Osimhen, 75 million euros, but they don't have an agreement with the player. So that's the point now. Galatasaray have the agreement with the player and are negotiating with Napoli. Al Hilal have an agreement with Napoli to pay the release clause, but still no agreement with the player. Let's follow the situation, but as of today, Galatasaray want to advance, push to sign Viktor Osimhen.
How is the future of Osimhen also have an impact on other players, possibly two other strikers?
Yeah, one is Darwin Núñez, because Darwin Núñez is the main target for Napoli. They have two options to sign a new striker, to add one more striker to the squad for Antonio Conte. Darwin Núñez is the dream target, and Napoli are expected to continue talks for the Uruguayan striker in the next days, with the player keen on a move to Napoli. And the other option is Lorenzo Luca from Udinese, a way easier deal in terms also of financials, so that's why Napoli have that Luca deal ready, but the priority remains Darwin Núñez. So let's follow the steps of this story in the next days and weeks. And then the other striker situation impacted by Viktor Osimhen is Alvaro Morata, because Alvaro Morata is at Galatasaray now on loan from Milan, but if Galatasaray sign Viktor Osimhen, they can give the green light for Alvaro Morata to leave the club and go to Como, to stay in Serie A, but move from Milan to Como. But it depends on new striker. Gala need the new striker to give the green light to Morata, and now negotiations advancing with Osimhen. If Osimhen goes to Galatasaray, I expect Alvaro Morata to become a new Como striker right after.
And talking about Ugo Ekitike, what about his future?
His future still remains open. For more than hearing, Premier League remains the most likely destination for Ugo Ekitike, who did fantastic at Eintracht last season, and I would maintain Liverpool as one of the options, because Liverpool always had an interest in Ekitike, and let's see what happens with Darwin. The timing of Darwin Núñez's exit will be important to understand what happens with Ekitike, and more options for Liverpool up front. And then there is also interest from more clubs in England. So I'm told that the Ekitike story is still quite open. It's a race to follow in the next weeks, and so I'm sure we will be back here to discuss about Ekitike and Premier League very soon.
Real Madrid will face Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final of the Club World Cup, and there is a new gem for Real Madrid. I'm talking about, of course, Gonzalo Garcia, who already scored 4 goals in the tournament. What can we expect from his future? Because probably nobody was expecting this kind of performances of the Spanish striker.
No, not at all. A new gem on stage, thanks to Xabi Alonso, trusting young players. That's already showing the quality of Xabi and his ambition also to create new players for Real Madrid's future, and Gonzalo Garcia is one of them. So, as you mentioned, he's the top scorer of the tournament. That's unbelievable. If you asked anyone probably before the tournament, no one was expecting this to happen. But for Gonzalo Garcia, I can guarantee that Real Madrid also have a feeling that he can be the right player to keep in the squad, to have a different kind of option up front. There were rumors a few weeks ago on Real Madrid looking for a striker similar to Joselu, to have a different kind of option in their attack. They have many fast quality players, but a traditional number 9 also on the physical point of view was needed. And Gonzalo Garcia is basically saying, okay, I'm here, I can do this job for Real Madrid, and the club is quite happy with him. So at the moment, despite being approached by several clubs, more than 10 clubs prepared to make a loan proposal for Gonzalo Garcia, even to cover his salary, to offer basically Real Madrid what they want, to have the player on loan, I am told that Real Madrid are very happy with the player, and when I say Real Madrid, is the management, is the coaching staff, is Xabi Alonso himself. So Gonzalo is fully expected to stay at Real Madrid.
We are also aware of another striker as a free agent.
Yeah, that's one of the stories of the day, and it's about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, former Arsenal and Chelsea striker, who is in Saudi now at Al Qatair. But the club is looking for a new young striker, so they want to free some space in their squad, in their roster, and that's why Al Qatair prepared to terminate the contract of Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with immediate effect. So Aubameyang will be available as a free agent, with many possibilities in England, in Italy, in France, in Germany. So several clubs are on alert because Aubameyang, as a free agent, even if he's not super young anymore, is still a striker who can score a lot of goals. And so that's why there are already calls ongoing for Aubameyang on a free transfer.
We conclude today's episode with a striker, but one of the best players in the world in the history of the game. I'm talking about Lionel Messi, of course, and his future. What's your position on Leo Messi's future, about the rumors that came up in the last days?
Yeah, many rumors about that. I wanted to maintain the position we explained here on Men in Blazers also last week. The position of Inter Miami is very clear. Very happy with Messi, obviously, and with the intention to advance in these new contract negotiations as soon as possible. From Messi's camp, same message. Very happy, on the same page. They want to continue together. They plan to continue together. And so I think there is obviously a very good feeling between them and a concrete possibility to see Leo Messi extending his contract at Inter Miami. Then, don't forget about signings, because building around Leo Messi, it's a crucial point of this story, as we already mentioned last week. And in this way, remember the name of Rodrigo de Paul, because Inter Miami are working on a deal for Rodrigo de Paul. They are in negotiations with Atletico Madrid. The player is open to the move. He's one of the best friends of Leo Messi on and off the pitch, world champions together with Argentina. And Rodrigo de Paul is quite keen on the move to Inter Miami, so they will try to sign him immediately if they can agree a fee with Atletico Madrid. Otherwise, he's available on a free transfer for next season. So Inter Miami are working on this one, and this is also a message of their intention to build around and with Leo Messi.
Message is very clear. Thank you, Fabri. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Ciao, guys.